Patrick McNeil back here with you at the intermission and joined now by Cape Breton Eagles 18-year-old forward Logan Camp. Logan, it's been certainly a unique season. What are your thoughts on how things have gone thus far for yourself and the team?
It's definitely been different for sure with all the COVID regulations, but we've been doing good. We're getting better. We're getting into it now. We're excited for playoffs.
You come to the Eagles and trade with Baie-Comeau last year, halfway through the season. What was your reaction upon learning you were coming to Cape Breton?
I thought it was amazing. It's close to home, great organization. It was a good move for me.
You have a history on this island. You have family in Cape Breton. People have probably heard me mention this a lot. Your connection to the famous Licka-Chick. Tell us about that.
Yes. I'm a little blurry on the details, but it's my grandmother's uncle was A&K. He was A&K. He was the one who started it. And then they sold the business in, I think, the 60s or the 70s. I'm not exactly sure when, but he was one of the founders.
You still have an attachment? Do you still go there a bit during trips to Cape Breton?
Oh, yeah. Every time my parents go up, they always go there.
Now, you talk about your parents. Your father actually played NCAA hockey. What did he tell you about his playing career, and was that ever something you considered to play in college because your dad did?
We talked about it a little bit, but coming out of midget after the draft, I went to Baie-Comeau, and they signed me as a 16-year-old. We decided that was going to be the move instead of going to prep school or going to college route. I'm happy that I went the QMJHL route.
You end up missing a month due to injury. You came back last game the Eagles played. Walk us through how difficult it was to come back and what the routine was when you were hurt, how you were able to rehab to get back on the ice.
Honestly, it wasn't too bad. Being out with a wrist injury, it's terrible, but I was able to skate. So I was on the ice more than the rest of the team for about the 6 weeks that I was out. I kept my feet moving and my legs good, so that wasn't a problem. And started shooting and stick handling after 3.5 weeks, 4 weeks after the injury. So by the time we played that game, I was ready to go the week before, and our game got canceled. Right. I was just so happy to get back out there, and it was nice to finally be back with the boys.
And did you feel in rhythm during the game in Halifax?
It was a little slow at the start, my first maybe 2 shifts, but it came back nice and quick. So I was very happy.
You may not know this, but the Eagles franchise started in Sorel back in 1969. And in that time, since 1969, you had the 10th longest streak for a forward without taking a penalty, 33 games.
Really?
Is this something you're conscious of? Is that part of your style of play, to be disciplined?
No, not at all. I didn't even realize. That's actually kind of funny to think about. But no, I play pretty gritty hockey, so I'm honestly kind of surprised that I haven't taken a penalty yet.
I don't imagine it was an intention to develop a streak like that, but you don't want to be in the penalty box. How do you successfully walk that line playing physical without getting in the box?
Honestly, just keeping it clean. Nothing too terrible after the whistle. Every once in a while, there's times when you have to, but you try not to obviously take penalties during the game because it hurts your team. It's probably not a bad thing to keep that streak going.
When you were drafted by the Eagles, Jacques Carrier said you were a player that was on the Eagles list during your draft year. When you were traded to Cape Breton, why did they say they wanted you with the Eagles? And do you remember having any talks with the Eagles during your draft year?
Yes, actually, I had a meeting with the Eagles. I remember I can't remember what hotel it was, and sat down with them and we talked, and I thought it went really well. And they told me that it was a really good meeting as well. And so I was kind of hoping maybe part of me was going to get drafted there my draft year, but didn't work out like that. But I still ended up here, so it was nice.
In your final full year of under-18 hockey, you end up winning a league championship with the Steel Subaru in 2018. Tell us what that experience meant to you.
That was amazing, winning that championship with the Subs and going to Atlantics. It was a heartbreaker in the Atlantics final, but winning the league and getting to go to Atlantics was amazing. All the guys, we were so close. It was just really good hockey we were playing. It was amazing.
You had a whirlwind first 2 years of major junior eligibility. You make Baie-Comeau at 16, but you play the second half of that season in Truro Junior A. At 17, you returned to Baie-Comeau, but then went to play midget in Halifax before being traded to Cape Breton. Walk us through those situations and how you ended up in Junior A and then eventually back in under-18 hockey again before coming to Cape Breton.
My 16 year in Baie-Comeau, it was going really well. And then at Christmas, they were making a run for it. So they traded and got, I think it was like 3 19-year-old forwards at Christmas. So I remember the coaches, the GM pulling me aside, and they're just like, listen, we want you to play like you're good enough to play, but we just don't have the room, and we're not just going to let you sit in the stands and not develop. So they said, why don't you go play junior A hockey? I was drafted to Truro, so they had my rights. So I went to Truro, finished off the season there. Everything was good. Came back the next year. It was going well, but it wasn't the right fit for me. I asked to leave, and I knew that I was going to be getting traded. I didn't know where. They said that they were going to trade me. So I left. It was end of November. And so I knew I had like a month before the deadline. And instead of going to Truro and going to play in Truro, I decided to play midget and live at home for, I think it was barely a month before the trade deadline. That was my thought process going through that.
You'd mentioned in previous interviews with us that you have family in Florida and you've spent some time down there. Did that ever interfere with your hockey playing? Did you play at all down there? Or was that all during the off season?
That was my grandparents. They're from Ontario. During the winter, they would go and they'd live in a condo down in Florida. When I was growing up, I used to go down for like 2 or 3 weeks at a time. It was usually right towards the end of minor hockey seasons. So I didn't ever miss too much hockey, but I think I stopped going at like 11, just as hockey was starting to pick up. Didn't ever miss too much time for that.
The last question for this one, if somebody hadn't seen you play before, how would you describe Logan Camp's style of play?
Played fast, hard hockey, good two-way offensive and defensively. It's pretty solid all-around game.
Fans will hope to continue to see some development from you going forward. Thanks for this, Logan. Best of luck the rest of the season.
Thank you.
That was Logan Camp joining us here at the intermission. You're listening to McDonald Auto Hub, Cape Breton Eagles Hockey, 1270 CJCB.